Today I decided I'm going to shoot a video because I received this scissor from one of my sharpeners. It's a Kenchi, but it's a true left-handed shear, and it's had some issues as far as sharpening is concerned, and obviously cutting because of that. So I figured I would take a few minutes and show actually three things. One is we're going to show you how to sharpen this scissor, at least one of the blades, on the Heritu. Also, I'm going to sharpen the other blade using the convexing clamp on the Okami. And to work the inside, I'm going to show the waterstone so that you have a view of that as well, because most people are used to working with the Okami gold honing blocks. So let's take a shot, see what happens. Alright, to start, the first thing I need to do is adjust my clamp so that I can sharpen my left-handed shear. So what I need to do, right now I have it set up to sharpen at 45 degrees for a right-handed shear. And I need to go ahead and set it to sharpen a 45-degree angle on a left-hand shear. This is your left-hand mark. So I start off by loosening the tension knob here on the side, and then the angle adjustment knob. I'm actually going to turn. See, right now, the way that this is set up, I have it set where there's a little pin that is pushed into the convexing grip on the Heritu. It's pushed in this way. And then there's another pin that's pushed into the little shaft that connects to the angle adjusting knob. And what those two pins do is they knock into one another like this on the inside of the unit. Right now I have it where it knocks into the pin and stops at 45 degrees. What I need to do is I need to rotate that around so it goes all the way to the other side. So now, if I locked it down, you can see that little right-hand tick mark is the opposite way. Now it's bumping in to the pin on the other side, and I can lay that in place, rotate my left-hand tick mark over to 45 degrees so that it's going to stop at 45 at that L. I'm going to go ahead and let that go. I'm going to snug that down at 45, and now I have a clamp that will rotate back from 45 degrees on the left-hand side and then go back up and stop again at 45. Another note too that you need to take into consideration when you're setting up your clamp for sharpening left-handed scissors is 45 degrees is always constant, whether it's right hand or whether it's left hand. So that means that if you wanted to set your clamp at 35 degrees, you would have to set it at 55. Because for a left hand, everything is mirrored. The 25 would be the 65 would be the 25, the 35 would be the 55 would be the 35, and all the little tick marks in between. What you do is you have to pretend that everything's been moved over, and 25 starts here and goes from 25 up to 65 in the opposite direction, but that 45 always remains constant. So now that we have the clamp set up to do a left-handed shear to convex, we will go ahead and insert the blade into the clamp. I'll show you how to do that in just a sec. Alright, I'm going to start by clamping the blade into the fixture on the Heritu. Before I start that though, I did assess the blade before I did any sharpening to it to see what was actually wrong with it, and I have a feeling that it's probably the inside work that's done on the scissor. The inside line on this particular blade, for sure, is very weak. And even the inside work that looks like it's done here on this blade, it looks like it's radiused over slightly on the inside where it was radiused up. And this is not uncommon on a true left-handed shear, because it's a little awkward to work it on either the stone or the Okami blocks. So we'll talk about that when we get to the Okami block, but I want to show you how to clamp this in. Remember, the inside portion of your blade in the hollow ground area should always be on the outer portion of the clamp. In other words, this portion of the fixture, this little wobbly knob piece here that holds the blade into the fixture, should always be making contact with the shear on the back side, like where the screw would go into or where the tension adjusting knob would be, and the flat inside surface should be up against the flat inside surface of your clamp. So we're just going to go ahead and set that in, seat it all the way up to the top right there, lock it into place. And now we'll rotate that all the way around to where it comes to the stopping point. And you can see that for the left-handed shear, I can now go up to the cutting edge, rotate back to do my convex, go back up to that cutting edge, and I'm ready to actually start the sharpening process right now. Alright, I'm going to start my machine up. What's nice about the Heritu is when you're actually turning the plate, in the direction that it's supposed to go, which is, in this case, counterclockwise. To sharpen a true left-handed scissor, you always want to run away from the edge, not into the edge, or you'll cut into your paper. We have a blinking light that's installed. So if that's blinking, you know you're going in the right direction. I've already scratch tested the shear, just a little touch on the plate itself, and I've rotated the blade around and checked this for a scratch on the inside, and I can see that my angle is matching up reasonably well. So I'm going to go ahead and start the process. Now the difficulty is holding the fixture. Now if you're pretty ambidextrous and you want to use your left hand, you can just use your left hand and sharpen like you normally would with your right. But most people are not quite that ambidextrous if they are right-handed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this with my right hand, put my pointer finger out onto the unit. See if I can do this here without having to move the camera. And I'm going to rotate, holding just like this with my other hand. Let me rotate this camera up so you can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. That's a little better. That'll give you some idea of the hand position that I'm using. And I'm going to go ahead and rotate up to my cutting edge until I bring up a burr along the edge of the shear. I'm just using a nice gentle run till I see that burr start to pop. And I'm running at about 50% speed or so. Okay, my burr is starting to get there. Move my light into place here so I can see a little bit better. I want to keep that out of the way if I could for the video. There's that burr. And just tracking it up that edge until I make my way up to the tip. This shear is also rounded out a little bit at the tip, so that's going to make my job a little more difficult up at the very end. And there's my burr. I'll rotate this around. We have our convex front surface. We have a burr on the inside. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my same thing on the 15 and the 9. I'm just starting to finish up now on the 9 pad. I've already run on my 15. For the sake of time on the video, I didn't want to shoot that, so it would not take you too long to get through this process. But this is all just cosmetic work that's being done on the front surface of the blade right now in preparation for polish. After the blade has been worked on the inside. And looks like I'm ready to go to the waterstone at this point with this particular shear.